Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. I love this man, and I don't care who knows it. It is an absolute pleasure that I get to call him a friend, which he is. And I loved covering him when I was on SportsCenter and on NFL Network and getting to know him and his family and who he is. And he's one of my favorites. And anytime I say, hey, would you like to come on the show? He answers. And his name is Brett Favre. How are you, Brett?
I'm good, Rich. Thanks for having me.
You got it. Had Elway on last hour, Brett. I had Elway on last hour. And
yeah, I saw that.
Okay.
I saw that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're
that
up to.
Sucker, he took one from me.
Okay. Now, I don't know where to go. With Super Bowl or golf. Did you see him talking about your golf game and his golf game? Did you see that portion of the interview?
No,
Brett?
I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't.
Because I mentioned.
I'm sure it was pretty painful.
Well, I told him what you shot yesterday, and he asked if that number was accurate.
It was very accurate.
Okay.
And believe me, there was a time shooting in the 70s was not out of the realm of my game. I absolutely suck. So 79 yesterday was quite an accomplishment. I don't play hardly any anymore.
Okay. Well, he said, Elway, that it's been a while since he's played, and then threw out that he's a one handicap, just real casual, which I was very impressed with that flex. Right there.
He's a heck of an athlete.
I know that.
So let's give him the benefit of the doubt.
I know that.
He better not be playing too much golf. He's got work to do.
I know. He said he hasn't played very much. The other thing that he mentioned about your history and relationship is that you nailed his walk down perfectly at Pro Bowls.
Oh, yeah. I got it down. We're both pigeon-toed, so it was pretty easy.
Is that how you become a Hall of Fame quarterback? Is that what kids need to do, is start walking pigeon-toed? Is that how it works?
Well, I know, too, that it worked out fairly well for.
You got a good Elway story from that Super Bowl at all, Brett? Anything else that you remember about your relationship with John?
The only thing that comes to mind is, and John and I, John's a little bit older than I, but we've done quarterback challenges together. We walked Disney World with both families together, and I do consider him a good friend. So when they beat us, after the game, get showered, and obviously I wasn't in the best of moods, but I go out to the bus, and both teams, it was at San Diego, both teams come out of the same area, same tunnel, and there's a lot of players from the Packers, a lot of players from the Broncos kind of standing around talking to their families and friends, and I'm on the bus, and I see John. So I go down, get off the bus, and just go over and say, hey, John, man, I obviously was in not in a foul mood, just disappointed. And I said, hey, man, congratulations. He said, hey, don't be so down. Just matter of fact, he said, don't be so down. You already won one. It was about time I got one. I was like, okay, yeah, I get that. I went back on the bus and kept licking my wounds. But no, John, we always had a great relationship, and he played really well in that game, but it was not really John Elway-esque. And I mean that with no disrespect. They just didn't really need him, surprisingly. Terrell Davis was just killing us.
And that was his hometown there in San Diego, and that was it. I just remember, though, that it seemed like, Green Bay that let Denver score so you could get the ball back and try and... Well,
and we did, and we had a chance. And
right.
That's true. We did. That was the only one where we let Terrell Davis do anything. The rest of it,
right.
He did it on his own. And it was a good strategy. We got the ball. We had a chance. We drove down to, I think, about the 50, and turned it over on downs. So, I mean, it was a good move, really our only move, based on the fact that we couldn't stop Terrell all day. His best. We just hoped that he would actually score and give us that shot.
Did somebody have to explain to Reggie White what the plan was? I mean, did somebody have to basically tell the Minister of Defense stand down?
No.
All right.
Reggie was one of the smartest players, one of the greatest players I ever played
Sure.
with. Not the greatest, but one of the smartest. And he got it. And our guys are so worn down because they just pounded it on us all day. It's been a long time, but I think if people refresh their memory, they would agree it was a slugfest that featured Terrell Davis.
And I've never asked you this question, and maybe I should ask it of the coach, but I'll ask it here anyway. Would Holmgren have gone for 2 to win it, do you think, if you scored the touchdown? Do you know?
I don't know the answer to that question. My guess would be he would have kicked the extra point.
Yeah.
And taken our chances, hoping maybe we got the ball first or something.
Right. I got to ask him that next time he's on here. Brett Favre here on the Rich Eisen Show. Okay, Brett, let's get into the story that's really still resonating from the draft, and it's interesting that it happened. I think a half an hour after you left our Draftathon live room on draft night, which I really appreciate you spending a full hour joining us to help raise money for COVID-19 relief that night. But it was the drafting of Jordan Love by the Green Bay Packers. And I wonder what you thought of that move by Green Bay, obviously with the history between you and Aaron and the team.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I was very surprised. I really thought that they would go in the direction of an offensive weapon. There were several plays from being in the Super Bowls, a game away. But, just a few plays they kind of fought back in that game. And nothing against Jordan Love. I mean no disrespect. But you trade up to get a guy who he may turn out to be great. I hope he does. But you trade up to get a more of a project. He's a little bit unproven. A lot of upside, no doubt about it. But he can't help you get to the Super Bowl immediately. And I just think that if you're playing for now, as all the teams in the league will tell you they are, or most will tell you that, some certainly are not. But Green Bay's one of them that should be playing for now. They don't draft any weapons, not just in the first round, but any weapons that can help immediately, to my knowledge. And that just sends a disrespect message to what I would think to Aaron Rodgers. He has every right to be disappointed if he is.
Yeah, it's about if he is. Any indication? I mean, he really the only indication is that he has called Jordan Love or connected with Jordan Love and congratulated him and welcomed him to the team, and that they have connected. That's the word that Brian Gutekunst used, that they have connected management and Rodgers.
Well, Aaron and I get along great, and I did talk to him. I'm not going to talk about all that we talked about, but he was, let's just say, surprised that they went in that direction. And I'm not surprised that he reached out to Jordan, being in a similar situation himself 15 years ago. And we had a great relationship in spite of what now. I wouldn't say it took a turn for the worse when I left, but he was basically caught up in the middle of a hornet's nest, if you will. I don't foresee that happening here. I think Aaron will do whatever. It's not his job to mentor Jordan Love, and this discussion went on. When I left Green Bay, it's not the head guy's job to mentor the next guy. That guy is ultimately there to take your spot. Now, if Jordan were to ask Aaron, can I watch extra film with you? I would be shocked if Aaron said no. I think he would go over and beyond to help, but he's not going to go out of his way, and I can't blame him. So getting back to winning now and the importance of having the pieces in place, or almost all the pieces in place, and you selecting not only in the first round, but other rounds, other positions other than an immediate need for our offense is, to me, it just sends the wrong message that we're preparing for the future now rather than we're going to try to win this thing next year.
Brett Favre, Pro Football Hall of Famer here on the Rich Eisen Show. Well, one of the reasons why Aaron might be surprised or have been surprised by it is, by all accounts, the Packers didn't give him a heads up that when they're trading up, it was for Love. Did Ted Thompson ever reach out to you back in the day? That didn't happen, huh?
I don't think. I think that'd probably be pretty rare. I'm not going to say it. Other quarterbacks have not been in the know on who they're drafting or even asked opinions. So, for example, if Ted Thompson were to call me back in the day and say, look, we're thinking about drafting a quarterback in the first round. What do you think of this guy? That would seem odd. So I don't know if it's commonplace to include players on advice or advice maybe okay. Like, we're thinking about this receiver. You like him? Yeah, I do. Okay, I just wanted to get your take on him, or a trade. But I don't think it's too common practice to include the players on who they're drafting and their opinions.
Well, I'm not just saying that. I guess the way I would go is that, hey, Aaron, we're on the clock now. All of a sudden, I just wanted to give you a call. Whether it's the coach or the general manager,
if they did that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is that so he's not sitting there watching, I'm sure, NFL Network instead of ESPN, but I'm sure like he would be so he's not sitting there and then wondering where the hell did that come from, that he does at least have a 10-minute heads up or 5-minute heads up, while somebody might be on the phone with Jordan Love, somebody's on the phone with Aaron Rodgers. That's the one thing that I was wondering.
Yeah, my take on that is, if I were the GM and I had Drew Brees, if I had Tom Brady, if I had Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, guys like that as my quarterback, I would make sure that I gave every impression that their input was extremely valuable, and that whatever I did, I was doing in the best interest of the team, but I wanted to include them. I just think Green Bay's not going anywhere without Aaron Rodgers in the next few years. If he plays like we expect him to play, they got a shot with or without a first-round receiver. He's that good. So I would do all I could to not burn that bridge. And I don't think that they did that. I think that they burned a bridge that it's going to be hard to overcome. At some point, I think it will rear its ugly head.
How so, Brett? What do you mean?
He's got 4 years left on his contract. Say they start off 0-3, regardless of how Aaron's playing, but I assume he'll play like he normally does. But they're 0-3. I think we'll see the claws come out from a lot of folks, and they're going to be left trying to defend themselves. If that makes sense.
No, I guess so. I hear you. I mean, so I just don't know how ready Love really is. That was part of the evaluation, right? Is that
why trade up? I mean, look, again, no disrespect to that kid. But
I know
you
that.
have to trade up for an unproven, really unknown, tremendous potential, but a lot of question marks. That he's not really any quarterback you drafted in the first round with Aaron Rodgers is not going to see the field anytime soon, and it's not going to help you win a Super Bowl next year. I wouldn't think. Now, unless they just think that there's absolutely no chance we'll ever get a talent like this ever again in the next 5 years. But he's got 4 years left on his contract, Aaron does. And are you going to draft someone in the first round and let him sit for 5 years, give him a new contract without him even seeing the field or enough to really make a decision one way or the other, and give him a big contract?
Yeah, that ain't happening.
I'm sure he's going to have a contract in 5 years.
Yeah.
In 4, really, if it's a 5-year deal. I don't know. I don't know how the rookie contracts play out anymore. But
no, it's the same way. You're right. Is that there will have to be some form of an evaluation made.
They're going to pay him a big deal without seeing him play? that ultimately is what's going to happen. Or they're going to be in a situation where they just cut bait and allow Aaron to go play somewhere else, somewhat similar to my situation.
So in the X's and O's,
and be able to keep them happy in the short term.
Right. And in terms of the X's and O's, we had a very respected evaluator in Greg Cosell. He's NFL Films and so many other entities that he's as one of the top in the game, saying that Rodgers plays out of the construct of what LaFleur and others might want, and that Love and the drafting of Love is potentially an indication of LaFleur said. Of what LaFleur believes Rodgers won't do, because he does leave some plays on the field within the construct of what the coaching staff wants to do. And that was his evaluation of the Love pick in the prism of Rodgers. Would you agree with something like that, Brett?
I guess I wouldn't disagree. But I don't know. I met LaFleur one time. But our situation is so similar at this point in our careers. New coach, new organization. The regime that drafted Aaron is gone, completely gone, and it's a new regime. That's the same thing that happened with me. And so it's kind of my take is we want to put our stamp on our guys and hope that we can win with previous guys, meaning Aaron Rodgers and some other guys. I don't think that, they'd be idiots to think that Aaron is not capable of leading them to a Super Bowl, but it's proven that he can't do it alone. And, but they're going to rest on that assumption that he can get us there. We're good. I don't know if we got better for next year. I don't know what they're going to do in free agency or any moves between now and then. But it just, to me, they're placing a lot on Aaron, which is fine. It was Aaron, but from a relationship standpoint, it sends the wrong message. And I think this, again, when adversity hits this year, 0-3, couple bad games or whatever, that is going to rear its ugly head, and the daggers are going to be out.
So I guess my last one for you, Brett, and it's a difficult question, but I'm going to ask it. Certainly more difficult to answer since it looks into the future. It's the old crystal ball, and you even said yourself.
I think he'll play somewhere else.
You do. You cut me off. You think he will not end his career as a Green Bay Packer, just like you?
My gut tells me no. It's kind of cool now to. It's not uncommon to retire and unretire now. When I did it,
right.
It was a little bit out of the realm. Now it's fairly common, not just in football, but in all sports. And it's, Tom Brady and myself and Joe Montana and Peyton Manning, just to name a few, have finished their career elsewhere. And in my case, I played with 4 different teams. So I think you're going to see that trend more and more. And I think Aaron will finish somewhere else. That's my gut.
Yeah, because again, it is crazy how similar this is now happening. It is.
Well, I guarantee you this, and I don't know this for certain, but I guarantee you, it's got the wheels turning in Aaron's mind. Which if that's the case, then that means that there's a chip on his shoulder towards the organization that otherwise was not there. And so all he needs is a reason other than this reason to expedite that.
Brett, appreciate the time, man. Love you. Best to your family. Best to everybody. Everybody good? Your hair still dyed?
Yeah, everybody good. We're doing good. Thank you, Rich.
Okay, and I noticed, by the way, you had that gaming headset on Thursday night at Draftathon Live. He was like, are you a gamer too? Are you doing esports, Brett, in your spare time?
Man, the last time I played a game you'll appreciate this, was Atari. I'm dating myself. So maybe some of these listeners are going, what? Well, man, I was great in Pac-Man and Space Invaders and
Sure.
Donkey Kong.
Okay. So that's a no then. That's not a gaming headset for you. But maybe for somebody else in the household. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
You're the man,
I just
Brett.
did it because I look important.
Yeah, it looked great. And thanks for doing. I mean, a ton of money got raised. I love the conversation between you and Dion too, from back in the day when the Falcons.
Yeah, I love that guy.
It was great. Me too. Thanks again, Brett. You take care of yourself. Best to your family.
All right, Rich. You too, man.
You're the man.
We'll do it again.
I love it. That's Brett Favre. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.